Today we are joined by 12 special guests who have travelled from across Europe to be here today. On screen now are 12 women who have made their careers in engineering. They are here today to tell us about why they chose this path, their experiences and their aspirations. The webinar will be moderated by Joe Lote, who is responsible for the development and nurturing of engineering skills and competencies at Jaguar Land Rover, and who manages links with universities and professional institutions. For those of you for whom this is the first time using the webinar system, I will quickly explain how it all works. On the left-hand side, you have the video conference box featuring the moderator, and in the center of the screen, the video conference feature, which also shows the other participants in the webinar. In the center of the screen is this display area, and you will find the special guests here. Clicking on your name will allow you to raise your hand if you have a question, agree or disagree, and so on, and this can be found on the left-hand side in the participants list. On the bottom at the right-hand side is the chat box, where you can chat or enter your questions to our special guests. We encourage you to send us your questions right from the start. At the top of the screen is the notes box, where we will group and display the questions for the experts to answer during the Q&A session that follows the main discussion. If you would like to download any of the presentations, the schedule, or the engineers' biographies, these can be accessed in the File Depot on the right-hand side of the screen. If you have any questions during the discussion, just post them in the chat box on the bottom right. You can also post on our Facebook account and tweet to us at @Fumono, or
Good afternoon and welcome to the webinar in Women Engineering. My name is Joe, I'm from Jaguar Land Rover, and I'll be moderating the session today. Initially, for this, as a way of introduction, I'll just raise a few points. There is still a perception across general society that engineering, specifically in the automotive industry, involves working with engines and getting dirty with oil. In reality, the automotive industry is actually a very exciting place to work. It is developing at an extremely fast rate and with very high technology and with supporting a low carbon economy. Our industry, though, is competing with many other high-tech industries, and the skilled number of engineers coming through the system, or the lack of those engineers, is a significant barrier. However, there is a particular disproportionately fewer women focusing on their career in engineering. And the reason for this webinar is to talk about some of the reasons that might be the case, and also what the actual reality is in engineering across the businesses that are represented in this room. As a way of information, if you look at the data produced across the EU, the number of women working in engineering varies significantly country to country. So, for instance, Latvia, there's 30% of women in engineering. But in the UK, at the other end of the scale, only 8% follow that course. So there's quite a desperate range of different different rates of women choosing to use engineering. We don't necessarily understand why that might be the case. It might be cultural, there might be other factors. So part of the discussion will just explore all those areas and where the personal experiences of the people in this room actually indicate what could be behind some of these factors, some of these reasons. Anyway. So just without further ado, we want to set off and ask a few questions of the panel here to get the ball rolling. So first thing I'd like to do is to start the questions from a predetermined list that I have here, and then if you then could start posting your questions up on the webinar, we will start with yours as soon as we can. So if I can just ask the very first question. What career advice did the members of the panel receive at school, if any, on engineering?
Joe, when I was at school, which was a few years ago now, I did seek careers advice. I was interested in pursuing a career in engineering. However, I was guided to more traditional female roles. So because I was good at maths, I was advised to work in banking. It was my parents that helped me join an automotive engineering firm.
Can you repeat by speaking in the microphone because people cannot hear?
Very fine.
Hello, my name's Danella and I work at Jaguar Land Rover. The careers advice that I received at school guided me to more traditional female roles. So because I was good at maths, I was advised to go into banking, but my parents worked in the engineering industry and they gave me advice about automotive careers.
As a way of introduction, actually, which is my thought, I should ask everyone to try to introduce themselves. Just very briefly, say their name, which company they work for, and what their role is, and also perhaps how long they've been in the industry. And I think just to help the people on the webinar to understand the variety of roles and people we have in the room. So, I'll start with you.
Hello everyone, I'm Paola. I work in Iveco. I come from Italy. I've been working in Fiat Group since 1999, and I'm actually responsible of the product planning. Hello, my name's Danella. I work at Jaguar Land Rover. I've been in the industry for 26 years, and I'm a senior manager in engineering, in body engineering.
Hello, my name is Laura. I'm coming from Torino. I work in Fiat Group since 1993. Currently, I'm responsible for vehicle integration performance on a new vehicle.
Hello, I'm Irene. I come from Fiat, Italy, and I work in the automotive industry since 10 years, and I'm in charge of product planning.
Hi, I'm Sarah. I work for Daimler, or for Mercedes-Benz, and I'm a newcomer. So I started working there 1 year ago, and right now I'm responsible for production planning, so for planning and implementing all the technical equipment for the production lines.
Hello, my name is Eva. I also work for Daimler. I'm a manager in the engine test plant in Stuttgart unter Türkheim. I'm responsible for all the engineering, the electrical stuff in the engine testing field. I work for Daimler since 13 years now and went through various stations in the company. That's what encouraged me most to keep on working there and do my job very good.
Hi, I'm Natalie. I'm from Jaguar Land Rover in the UK. I work in vehicle package and I've been there since 2009.
Hi, my name is Jennifer. I work for BMW since 2 years, and I'm responsible for the process planning and assembly.
Hi, my name is Heather. I work for Jaguar Land Rover in the UK. I'm a department manager and I started in the automotive industry in 1996.
Hello, I'm Silvia Flores. I work in Iveco since 2008 and currently I'm responsible for people development pillar in work class manufacturing in Iveco.
Hello, good afternoon. This is Gökçe. I'm a mechanical engineer and I have been working for Toyota for 7.5 years now for the design of interior trim parts.
Hello, I'm Yolanda Favero. I come from Turin. I work in Iveco, and I work in Iveco since 2006. And right now, I'm in the platform of develop of new products.
Thank you. Thank you all for introducing yourself. Okay. So we'll go on to the next questions, if I could. So, when you're choosing engineering careers, how are engineering roles portrayed to you in your own countries?
I think that what would really help with career choices in engineering would be to change the perception of what a day-to-day job in engineering is. A lot of the time I think people expect to be working in a plant, whereas the reality is most engineers will work behind a desk, especially design engineers, and
I think that perception needs to change, because women and men are equally able to sit behind a desk.
And what's your personal perception of it? What's your experiences in that from your own roles? How would you explain your own role to the people on the webinar?
My own role would be day to day I would sit behind a desk working on CAD tools. Frequently I'll go and have a look at competitor vehicles. Nothing too physical. That changes throughout engineering, obviously. I know that the perception of engineering when I was younger and going through high school would be that you'd be working in a plant, and older generations in my family would feel that too, but it's just not the case nowadays.
I'd like to add to that from my role and my experience going through, there's been a lot of interacting with other people. So designing vehicles actually is quite a complicated thing. There's a lot of compromising that needs to go on, and there's a lot of being able to interact and people skills that needed for the role. So from my perspective, it's not so much just sitting behind a desk. We do get out and maybe get into vehicles. Sometimes, as Natalie said, it varies a bit depending on where you've been, and I've been through a few different roles in the company, and there's always a lot of people interaction with all of the ones I've been in.
What other skills do you think are important apart from technical knowledge in your roles within your businesses?
Eva from Daimler speaking. So the main thing that I experienced during my work is that you need to be a team player. You work together in a big team with the engineers in your department, but also engineers, workers, and higher management level in other departments. And the skills you need are very much on the social level. So if you're not good in talking people and making contacts and trying to come to a compromise, trying to lead meetings, then that could be hard. So, but this is also something that very encouraged me to keep on working, all this teamwork and finding a solution together and then bringing this solution into the market and see the success of the product. I think this is something that's really nothing to do with technical stuff, but very social skills you would need. Yeah.
So in addition to what Eva said, actually, I think the advantage we have in engineering, in addition to the technical knowledge, being a part of the team, we also have some negotiation and consensus building skills. The advantage we have, we work based on facts. So with fact finding and analysis, actually, we maybe have even higher negotiation power when it comes to maybe intercompany communication or sometimes with the third parties, because most of the cases we are involved with the plants and the suppliers as well. So I believe that's also one of the important skills, not to limit yourself to the technical knowledge, but also in growing the company to build that kind of negotiation skills.
Okay, I like this. Early on this afternoon, we had the pleasure of having Commissioner Vivian Redding talk to us. And one thing she mentioned, which stuck in my mind, was that women speak less and do more. What's the panel's perception of that comment? There you go. What can I say? Okay. We'll move on then. Were there any inspirational figures in your lives, either at school or within family, that gave you points towards engineering, or indeed try to persuade you not to go into engineering? Is there anyone there?
That's Sarah from Daimler. Well, so inspiration I got a lot from my dad. He is working as an engineer, and he is especially in an international context, so he is traveling a lot. And yeah, it was very interactive what he was doing. And then later on, my brother started or decided to start studying engineering. So it's a very technical family. Nevertheless, when I said, okay, I will start studying mechanical engineering, the other members of my family, for example, my aunt, what, you are a girl? Why do you want to study mechanical engineering? So yeah, it's very different, and it depends a lot on the support of your family, or on what they are saying or what they are showing you, what engineering means.
Iveco from Italy, Paola. I had more or less the same experience of Sara. I mean, my father was a big engineer in Eni, it's a petroleum company, and he moved a lot for work, so my father was my biggest inspiration. On the other hand, my mother wanted that I would become a teacher, because in this way I had a lot of time for family. So when I told my parents I want to become an engineer like my dad, they said, no way, you are a woman, why don't you be a teacher? And so you have got a lot of time for family. So this is, in Italy, this.
Hi, I had a bit of a different experience. I find actually quite a few people, men in the industry, ask me how I managed to get into the industry, and there tends to be a bit of an assumption that my dad would be an engineer. My dad worked in IT, and so he is in quite a technical role, but I don't have any family members that are in engineering. I was good at maths and physics in school, and we explored what the possibilities with that were. And I found it difficult because I was asking a lot, what does an engineer do day to day, when it was suggested it might be something you could do, but it's something that I've gone into because of the attitudes I've had, and I've really enjoyed it, but it's not because that there was, you know, someone in there. And my family were really good in not being surprised. There wasn't any, you're a girl, why would you want to do that? They kind of actively encouraged me to go in that direction.
Laura from Fiat, and my experience is quite different because it should sound strange, but I'm not an engineer. I graduated in physics and I studied atomic physics in Geneva, and I had the chance just a few months after I took my degree to start working in a Fiat Research Center. It sounds like more by curiosity, and working and training and working day by day. Now I'm really happy of the choice that I did, and I find that working as I do in the research and development give you the chance to see a piece coming from the drawing up to the final parts in the streets. The vehicle is driven, and it's something special, really.
How many women are there in your organisations? Anyone can sort of establish within your teams? Is there a number, a percentage that you can think of in that would try to convey to the audience, you know, the sort of numbers of women in the organisation? No. Is the departments that you're in? Is it? We're assuming at the moment, for the case of the webinars, it's primarily men, but Danila?
It's Danella from Jaguar Land Rover. I'm in a huge department of about 700 people, and I think there are 50 lady engineers within that team of 700.
Okay, Yolanda from Iveco. I wouldn't like to give a grown figure, but I think more or less we can be like 10% in the whole company. In manufacturing side, there are really low number of employees. I have to say that operators, there are quite in some plants like 30–40% also, but yeah, employees from I think 2005–2006, some more, but before really low figure.
So on that basis, talking to the whole panel here, is this the career that you expected when you joined the company? Have you doing something that met your expectations, or has it exceeded your expectations for that matter?
Eva from Daimler speaking. So I start with my expectation when I started studying. I studied applied physics with biomedical engineering. So it was not my expectation to work in automotive industry for 13 years now. So, but I dropped in automotive industry by my diploma thesis, and I was so impressed by the variety of work and the fields of working, so that I stayed at Daimler. And then I must admit that I didn't have a clear expectation of my career at Daimler when I started work. I just wanted to work and do something sensible and contribute somehow to research and development, and that's what I did. And then over the years, my expectation became more and more clear, and I saw that I can work with people quite well and might have some qualities in leading people. So I really pushed myself in the direction that I got a manager. So and that's why I am where I am now. So that met my expectation, and that worked. Some career steps were out of my expectation, so I have never expected that I worked for Formula One for so long, and that was that much fun. So that's what really topped my expectation totally.
Hello, Gökçe from Toyota. So I'm Turkish, so I've grown up in a Turkish society. I'm working in a Japanese company, so you can kind of expect what to expect from a company. But honestly, since I joined Toyota, I'm very happy with my career choice. First of all, because I'm very happy with the products I'm working with, and second of all, so far I never seen any disadvantage of being a woman. Actually, I have seen no discrimination or incivility or anything in the work environment. So therefore, actually, I'm perfectly satisfied with my career choice.
Hi, I'm Jenny from BMW. To be honest, I never wanted to work for automotive industry, but now I've joined BMW 2 years ago, and to be honest, I'm very, very happy with that choice. Initially, I thought that the automotive industry is kind of boring, since I mean, the technology is quite known. There are not so many things to expect in that way, and also from a manufacturing point of view, I was quite sure that it's very boring. But well, now I only see the advantages. It's still very, very interesting, and there are a lot of new and very interesting things to come. And also from a well, let's say it in a different way, you have a lot of chances, as Eva already said, not only in a professional way, but also you can choose where you like to work, if you would like to go abroad or if you would like to stay in Germany. You have a lot of choices and possibilities, and that makes it very, very interesting.
When it's time to start a family, is this a big hurdle for women per se, or it's just a big hurdle full stop for men and women?
Hi, I'm Joanna from Fiat. I have 2 little girls, so I perfectly understand what you're talking about. I have to admit that it's a little hard to deal with a family and with the job, but fortunately I think that companies are always more understanding this issue. So in certain cases it's possible to have to work for less hours, as for example is happening to me. So thanks to this, I can deal with the family and with the work, and I can give all my best to my company, because I'm really happy with these 2 situations. So it's hard, but it's possible.
Is there a big difference in your experience? I guess there's a number of you need to answer this question, between different countries, or do you perceive from where you are, we've got representatives here from Germany, from Italy, from the UK, and from Belgium for that matter. There are differences here between the issue of women in engineering, or the points you've just made, between those countries, or are you aware of that at all?
Hello, Gökçe from Toyota again. So I can basically talk for Japan and Belgium, I think, although I haven't worked in Japan as a long term. However, I've been there and spent quite a lot of time, maybe 7-8 months in total. And basically there is a difference. So in Belgium, actually in Toyota, although it's a Japanese company, you don't see any difference between men and women. As long as physically you can handle everything, there is no difference. However, in Japan, basically you have to work a bit harder to earn their respect, because they are just simply not used to it. They have a different distribution in their society. The woman is the boss at the house and she keeps the money, the man has just to earn it. But then basically when you are in the same field and you basically prove yourself correctly, then there is no problem, and then the communication is quite smooth, well, if we don't count the language barrier, and basically the working environment is as good as in any other country.
Are you aware of any career progression difficulties? This is often called, and I think again Commissioner earlier talked about glass ceilings. Are you aware of any glass ceilings in the organisations that you operate in?
Well, unfortunately, in my department there are not a lot of women in leading positions, and I think due to the fact that BMW has now the first woman in the management board, it shows that there's really a lack of women in leading positions, and that's really a pity, but that's still the case.
I feel that in my experience, which has been a relatively short time in comparison to some, but I feel in my experience that my expectation of what I was going into would be that there were glass ceilings because I was a woman. However, as I've come into JLR, I felt they're doing more and more to stop that being an issue by using different things such as workshops for female leadership to try and encourage women to take more responsibility for their own career and their own progression in a company. And I think that's something that possibly could be relatively new, but I've definitely seen an advantage of that.
It's well recognised that there are very few women in senior leadership positions, certainly in the automotive industry. It's very rare. Do you believe there's a causal factor? Is there a reason for this, or is it to do? It can't be, let's say, to do with talent. That would not make sense, because clearly the talent is there regardless of whether you're a man or a woman. But there is clearly, the evidence shows, there are far fewer women in leadership positions in industry than there are men. Anyone want to comment on that?
Yeah, I think that the point is the numbers. There are few women in automotive industry, so there are few women in low levels, there are few women in medium levels, and no women in high levels. So it's a matter of numbers. I mean, more women will be in low levels, more women will be in medium, and then sometimes it will be on an upper level. So I think it's only a matter of time and numbers.
Okay.
Paola from Iveco, Italy. Well, in Iveco we do not have a female person in a leading position. The board is made up only by men people, and I think the problem is that in Italy, I think it's not a problem of Fiat, but in general speaking in Italy, we get used to work really till late night. That's the biggest problem we have. So if you don't work till 8, 9, 10 o'clock in the night, you can't be a part of the board, of a leading position. That's the biggest problem we have. So I don't think it's a question of, in Italy, of automotive. It's not only automotive. In general speaking, that's a way of living in Italy we have. So we are changing mind. I'm in a very good position at the moment in Iveco, so I cannot complain. I've got a lot of, my expectation will be satisfied by Iveco, and my mother as well, so it's really hard. So mentality is changing in Italy, but at the moment we do not have female people in a high position because we were too late. That's it.
Eva from Daimler Stuttgart. Besides all the social background and the culture that we have in our country, and I think which mainly influences young women to be an engineer or unfortunately not to be an engineer, there's also us in the companies who need to show more our talents and what we are able to do and what we are pushed forward in the company. So one drawback of women is that we always work hard and bring very good results, but we don't talk about that and we don't show that. And that's the main thing. If you want to go ahead, you need to show what you can do. You don't have to show what you can't do and say, oh, can more than I really did, but you definitely have to show what you have done and present that to a management level, be somehow visible to the management. I think that is something quite difficult for women, because we are somehow socialized in a different way.
And I think with times changing and getting more women into, more women are doing kind of science and technology degrees now. We need to get them encouraged into the industry, but once they're into the industry, it'll be improved if they have more role models, and female role models too, because it's just be easier to get more women through, because sometimes it is ourselves and our expectations maybe that are kind of holding us back, as Eva said, and the ability to show people how capable you are and believe in your own capabilities and look at what it looks like to be a high-performing woman in such a male-dominated environment.
Just picking up on both those points just made, I think Paula raised the point of long hours. Is that long hour culture something that's common across the companies here? Is that recognized as you have to be seen to be in the office for X number of hours, and if you do that then you must be doing well, or you must be performing well? Is that culturally the same, or Eva's not? No?
My feeling is, but that's my personal feeling, it used to be when I started, but now it's getting, there's a change of culture, so it's more that it counts what you have done and what your performance is, no matter how long it took. I mean, if it takes longer for you to bring the same performance as a colleague who needs only 6 hours for it, all right, good for your colleague. So I think there's a slow, but there's a change in mind. Yeah.
And picking up again on the points on having a role model, is there a role model type? Who would be that type of role model? Would it be someone who is technically shown some direction? Would it be someone who has achieved a high position in an organization and therefore said, therefore I've achieved a high position? What would that role model do? What do you think who would that person be, ideally? That's definitely.
I think the role model would be personal to each individual female engineer, really. My own personal role model would be a respected leadership figure who did have it all, that had the family, that had the children. That would be my personal role model, but I know that wouldn't be everybody's role model at all. But the main point would be that they would be respected and able to do their job. So
Yes, so I have the same impression. Well, I started 1 year ago, when I am meeting some women who have achieved a certain level of leadership, and they are dealing with the issue work-life balance and how they are dealing with their families. And all those women I am meeting, that's kind of role model for me to see, okay, how are they dealing with it? It's not something that I need to do like this, but it's just, look, they can, and why shouldn't I?
Just keeping on the role model question for a little bit longer, going right out and saying, is there a role model required for the profession as a whole? So, for instance, if we were trying to encourage more women to choose engineering as a profession going forward, is there a role model type needed to be an advocate? Because we talked about us individually having role models, but is there a sort of prototype, a type of archetypal woman engineer that would appeal to, at this stage we were talking about the younger generation, so these are people going through school saying, you know what, I want to do this. This is a question often asked by students, saying, who's the role model? And when we had our Future Mobility Now last year, they used Lady Gaga as a role model, which we thought was quite amusing. But I can see their point. It's about someone who's who's up front, who's pretty prominent, who's you know, in your face in the English terminology, if you like. What would be the view? Is there such a person that would encourage more women into engineering? Jenny.
Well, at the moment, I can't see a woman that, I don't know, is a kind of a role model for me in that way that you're describing it. But I, as a German, can say that, for example, I mean, it has nothing to do with engineering, but our Chancellor, Angela Merkel, that was something where I think a lot of girls, I mean, it might sound silly, but they just became, I don't know, how to say that in English, they just, yeah, I mean, they were just aware that, okay, there is a chance that I might be the Chancellor someday. I mean, it's kind of silly and not the same thing, but I think that even nowadays, the girls don't even see a chance to, I don't know, get here, get there, be a, I don't know, a president of a big company, and I think if we had one woman in the automotive industry who would take a big role, then that might change a lot.
Okay. Can
I just add, that just reminds me of when Margaret Thatcher became Prime Minister in the UK, I was very young, and I remember a lot of people coming up to me and saying, hey, we've got a lady Prime Minister, and I was so young at the time that I was a bit like, and why wouldn't that be, you know, because I was really very young, and it's a shame that there is still that, still a big deal to have those kind of big role models around, but they definitely have a positive impact, I think.
Does networking help? You know, we're here effectively in a networking event. We've brought together a group of women engineers that have never met each other in most cases, that are from different countries, different companies, in the same sector in this particular case. But do networking events like this help the cause, if you like?
Hello, it's Danella from Jaguar Land Rover. I think part of career progression, it's essential to have a network, an informal network within your organisation, because as we've mentioned before in this webcam, our role is very technical, but it's a lot about people and teamwork, and part of working with a team is knowing who to contact outside of your team to assist. And as for this network that we've created this afternoon, it's been really interesting talking to other women from other OEMs, because I think we've discussed quite a lot of similarities in terms of our working hours and some of the technical issues that we face, whether we're male or female. There's a lot of similarities. So having a network is an essential part of career progression, in my view.
We've had a question in to talk about qualifications. So within engineering and within the engineering that you do, is a degree essential to get into the career, or which path have you individually taken to reach where you are at the moment? Has that all been through the traditional going to the university, coming out with an engineering degree and coming into the industry?
I think with a lot of people here, they probably have gone through the university route, and for a lot of people that do go into engineering, I know that they go into engineering because they're good at maths and physics. However, my route wasn't so traditional in the fact that I wasn't so good at maths and physics, but I loved cars and I really wanted to go into engineering, so I did go through the traditional route, but I struggled through it. Today, I think there are more apprenticeship opportunities than there were while I was going to university, but it is possible to, if you're interested in engineering but it's not necessarily something you feel academically you can get to, it is possible, because I just really had to work hard, but there are the apprenticeship routes as well now. So
I think that to enter in a big company nowadays, it's absolutely necessary to have a degree, not necessarily in engineering, but a degree is necessary. Then also other technical degrees or business degrees can be suitable for people that want to work in automotive. Of course, if the person wants to work in the research and development department, probably an engineering or physics degree is required. But other roles, there are a lot of roles in engineering companies that can be covered by people that has other degrees.
I'm actually a mechanical engineer, and however in our division as well I can tell that there are people coming, they have a degree but they don't have to be necessarily in all the time in mechanical engineering, because I think this is partially an approach. So if you get a kind of approach during your studies, anyway there's plenty of on-the-job training. I don't in my day-to-day job actually apply what I learned directly in university, but it's a kind of approach, and most of it you learn during your career development anyway, because there's plenty of internal trainings, and I believe it's pretty much the case in most of the companies. So it's not all the time you have to go through all this, but basically you need to get a certain approach to get into a point, but then the rest comes basically while you are working.
And I assume for most companies, certainly the automotive industry in many sectors is thriving in Europe. And there is a lot of new roles going out there, and it's therefore very, very competitive. So from taking from your discussion we've just had, part of this has meant that we've raised the bar in our companies, which means to get into that company do need to have a good degree, or you've had some prior experience, because that's what you need if you are a part of a bigger group applying to those roles. Yeah, and I think that seems to be common. Yeah. Right. What can women do to change the culture and traditions and mentalities they encounter? This is a question being put up, and I guess part of we've talked around the culture of the different organisations. So, Danella?
Danella from Jaguar Land Rover. What can women do to change the culture? Well, I think they just be competent, be really competent at your job. You know, do your job, do it really well, and that's, you know, I've been with Jaguar Land Rover for 26 years. Started as an apprentice. I've worked my way through various grades and different jobs to become a senior manager in engineering. It's a real big achievement, and I've done it by being good at my job and being competent. So I think that's the biggest thing that we can do. Just be really good at your job, work hard, ask questions, and you know, look for opportunities, because they're there.
Is there a issue at all anymore with respect to the world culture? Is quite an interesting one, because I guess it's applied in different ways. Has cultures changed generally in the organisations you're in? Has attitudes changed towards engineering, or have they all been relatively positive, and it's just been either the numbers issue that we have fewer women coming in, or there are a number of other issues that have made the number of women in engineering that small proportion? So is there anything else that we could talk about in culture? Yeah? Okay.
The way I've seen the culture, or perceived the culture, change since I joined the company has been in a positive way. I think as the working population kind of ages with me, they're more used to having women in them in their degrees, and once we've chosen technical subjects at school or whatever. So when I joined the company, some of the older people were a bit more surprised to see me there, I think. But as we're moving along, the younger generations coming into the company don't see it as such a big deal, and that means that it is changing for the better, and people are more used to, and it's becoming more mixed and more usual.
Is there a movement to pro-women, to support women more in engineering and in companies than in the past? We're saying there are actually more initiatives being launched.
Eva from Daimler speaking. Yes, definitely. So over the last year, there are a lot of programs at university and also for younger engineers in our company are set up, and we really try hard to support young engineers and encourage them to be an engineer, to make their way through the company, and find out what their talents are, try different positions, and bring the best contribution to the company they can bring. And that really improved a lot over the last year from when I started and up to now. I feel it, yeah.
Is being a woman in industry considered as a lower status compared with the men in engineering in industry? Is there any evidence in your perception on that?
No, in my opinion, there is no difference. I mean, I have been always respected by everyone that works with me, so I don't think there is evidence that women are considered less. Probably we are less because historically less women decided to do this kind of career, less women were interested in engineering, but since we are in, I think we are respected as much as men.
Well, actually, this is Gökçe from Toyota. Well, most of the people, before they talk to me on the phone, before they meet me, they believe that I'm a man. So when they write me an email, they write with Mr. They just assume that I'm a man before even knowing me. But actually, once we talk on the phone, if I pick up the phone, they're like, oh, you're a woman. There have been people who said that actually. So they are quite surprised, but I never seen a negative approach. Sometimes they even find it interesting, you know, once in a while they work with a woman. So honestly, I never noticed any negative behavior or any discomfort so far.
Laura from Fiat. I must say that it was quite hard at the beginning, more or less 20 years ago, because out of an organization of 400 people, there were just 3 girls. And I did not have a specific knowledge of vehicle because I was a physics, so I was difficult with the colleagues. But after this first period, I always had the same chance of my colleagues, male colleagues. So I can't really say that we are considered less than the men.
Hi, I'm Silvia from Iveco. I just want to add one thing. In my opinion, women engineers are not considered as a second level if compared with men, but this is related more on the competencies. When we have to evaluate women, we evaluate at the same time women and men on competencies. But we have, in my opinion, big rooms for improvement if we have to assign, as we have already said, management roles. So a part of the competencies and technical competence we have to evaluate and to allow more and more women in managerial positions. So we have to evaluate also their managerial characteristics and we have to trust on their abilities.
Eva from Daimler speaking. I just wanted a short story or talking to my boss yesterday. We had a personal discussion and he said, Eva always had very good experience with women in engineering. Wouldn't there be only more of you?
Just had someone chat to say that they often get confused as a secretary if they go with a male colleague, which is an interesting discussion there. How do you feel about the future of your careers? Are you afraid of the need to change as the sector goes ahead? Is there any issue with that one?
Hi, it's Danella from Jaguar Land Rover. I feel really optimistic about my future career. 2 years ago I got promoted into the position that I am in now, as a senior manager leading an all-new platform. for Land Rover, and it really is my dream job. It's incredibly exciting, really varied. I work with a fantastic team of people on really brilliant product, and once I've delivered this, I truly believe that there are opportunities to go on and do more within my company. So I think the opportunities are limitless. It just depends on your energy and your aptitude and going out and getting them. So really excited about the future.
This is Yolanda from Iveco. I'm afraid they need to change sectors to get ahead. It depends on the time. I think if you want to have a career, a managerial position in a short time, yes, it's difficult. It's difficult because it's difficult to have this kind of opportunities of growing up. So I think that it will come, but maybe with time. So it depends on how many times you are do you expect to wait to have a managerial position.
Paola, Iveco, Italy. I'm not afraid of my future. Generally speaking, there is no fear to change sector. I mean, I changed so many jobs inside Fiat Group. I think I started every time from the beginning 6, 7, 8 times. But there is no fear. I mean, it's normal in a very big company to change a sector. It's a way to be a manager, because a manager should do a lot of work. They should have seen a lot of sectors inside the company. So there is, to be honest, I don't see any fear, any afraid in changing a sector. Changing sector is a very good, positive thing to my point of view. Yeah.
Do you think there's, if you look at sectors outside your company, do you think there is any different improvements that can be had in your career if you were, for example, to leave automotive and go to aerospace or go to defence or go to IT? Have you come across any issues which suggest that working in automotive is any worse or better than any other engineering sector?
I think that somehow it's a bit harder. Above all, if you are on manufacturing side, because for us the target is every day to complete the production, and this that can be seen as very easy to do is not at all easy to do. So it's hard. It's a hard sector. This is I think this is real, and so it also takes a lot of hours of work to do everything you have to do. So it's difficult.
Paola, Iveco, Turin. Engineer is an approach. I mean, wherever you work, if it's for aeroplane, from cars, from shoes, or whatever, if you have studied engineer, you have a mindset very open. So wherever you work, I don't care of the products. The importance is that you have the approach to work in a very good way, to be competent, as I said before. And so, who cares of the products? I can move in shoes, in Gucci or whatever. I would be maybe more satisfied, of course, because I'm female. But I would work in the same way, and maybe I wouldn't have any problems, because the approach is always the same. Just what is different is the product.
If of those of you who have daughters, what's your advice to them when you come to the point of advising them on their career, what they should say? Would you say, you know what, engineering, I'm an engineer, go for it? How would you approach that?
Irene from Fiat. I would tell them, I have 2 daughters, and I'm sure I will tell them that they have to do something they like.
and they have to put a lot of passion in what they do, because every time I put passion in what I did, I had a lot of satisfactions, and I have been appreciated by who work with me. Otherwise, I don't think there is a job that is a dream for everyone. Everyone has its own passion and can be a leader in that kind of role.
Laura from Fiat. I have a girl as well as Irene. She's quite 3 years old, so I have time enough to wonder what to say. In any case, first of all I will tell her to do what she would like in that moment, because the only thing is to be happy of what you are doing. I hope she will appreciate what I have done in my life. She would like me as a model, and if she would like to work in the engineering world, in the automotive world, I will not say no. I will not block her.
Eva from Daimler Stuttgart. I have a daughter and a son, and I would tell them, see where your talents are, study what is fun and what satisfies you, and engineering is not the worst choice.
Okay. We have one last question, and I'd like to ask each and every one of you this actually. Do you see yourselves as a role model? Who's start? Eva.
Eva from Daimler again. Yes, definitely. Me in my position, there are so less women in my area that I feel as a role model in the engineering, engineering test field. But I hope this will change with more and more women coming in the company, because being a role model is not always the nicest thing. So everybody's looking at what you're doing, so you need to do everything very good or very, very, very good, 150% to be a role model. So better to have more women aside and be a role model together.
It's Danella from Jaguar Land Rover. Yes, I hope that I'm seen as a role model within the company. I'm very passionate about people development, and I do spend a lot of my time coaching and mentoring young people, both women and men, in terms of career progression. So yes, from that aspect, I consider myself a role model.
Hi, Natalie from Jaguar Land Rover. I do see myself as a role model to both girls and guys that are looking to go into engineering, but I don't want to be. I would like one day that a female in engineering wouldn't be a role model, it'd just be 50% of engineering.
Yes, I'd like to think that I'm a role model. Actually, I view Danella as a role model of mine, and I'm really pleased to see her success. And I find that good as it reflects on me, and now I'm progressing through the company more. I do view that people will look at me in a similar way, hopefully, and that it will encourage people to believe that they can achieve.
Hello, Gertrude from Plata. I also believe that actually, I will be a role model because, I love my job. I love what I studied, and I'm actually still enjoying after, okay, maybe not so long, for 7.5 years, and I'm actually fully satisfied with the package. It might be challenging, it might be hard work, it might be long working hours, but if at the end of it, if I'm really satisfied with my life, work-life balance and etc., then I believe it's worth being a role model. Yeah.
Ms. Sarah from Daimler. And within the company, I don't see myself as a role model, at least not yet. Perhaps later on, I will see how I will make my way. But I see myself as a role model for girls and for students at high school or at university to get to the decision, I want to be an engineer, I want to go into the engineering world. And that's where I can say, yes, it's definitely the right choice.
Laura from Fiat. I don't know if I'm a role model. I just want to say one thing. I think that you always have to be yourself, listen everybody who's speaking to you, respect the opinion of everybody. This is, I think, is really important in the job and in the life. I had a team working with me, so if I don't listen to everybody, I could not join and work with them. So, first of all, be yourself.
Hello, Irene from Fiat. Well, in this moment, I don't see myself as a role model because, fortunately, in the department where I work, there are a lot of women that has roles similar to mine. So I don't need to be a role model as it's not something special to be a woman. Fortunately, but in the past I worked in a company with 150 men, and I was one of the few women. And in that case, I had a management position, so I felt to be a role model because I could deal with a lot of problems, and it was difficult at the beginning to be believed by everyone, being a woman, and in particular being very young. But then, with the time passing, I reached a position where everyone believed me, so I felt to be a role.
Right. We've come to the end of our webinar, so thank you for those who've joined us on cyberspace. I particularly want to thank everybody in the room here, all the engineers that have made this effort to come and speak to you on this subject. I hope you find it very interesting. I certainly found it very interesting. I think it's been some good exchange of ideas and some experiences. So thank you all, and good night.
Thank you.